She heard screams every night from the mansion. The cleaning lady uncovers a twisted secret. Elena Rodriguez, a woman etched with the indelible marks of life's trials, moved through the opulent Sinclair mansion with a practiced grace that belied her humble origins. Her life was a testament to resilience, a single mother navigating the treacherous waters of poverty to provide for her inquisitive and bright-eyed son, Miguel. Every morning, she stepped across the threshold of her small, rented apartment into a world of extravagance and privilege, a stark contrast to her own reality. The Sinclair Mansion, an imposing edifice of wealth and success, stood as a symbol of the chasm that separated her world from that of her employers. Its towering facade, adorned with intricate carvings and gleaming windows, seemed to exude an aura of untouchable grandeur. Inside, the air hummed with the quiet efficiency of unseen staff, and the silence was broken only by the soft clink of crystal and the distant echo of footsteps on polished marble floors. Elena, with her worn cleaning cart and the faint scent of lemon-scented disinfectant clinging to her clothes, was a silent observer in this world of hushed opulence. Thomas Sinclair, the master of this domain, was a man of formidable presence. His name, synonymous with success and power, graced the covers of financial magazines and echoed in the hushed whispers of the business elite. He possessed a sharp intelligence and an aura of command that intimidated those around him. Elena, accustomed to the indifferent or condescending gazes of her wealthy employers, found his penetrating gaze unsettling, a constant reminder of her outsider status. His daughter, Amelia, was a stark contrast to her father. A delicate girl on the cusp of womanhood, Amelia possessed a quiet beauty and a gentle spirit that seemed at odds with the cold grandeur of her surroundings. Elena often caught fleeting glimpses of her, a solitary figure wandering the vast hallways or gazing wistfully out of the grand windows. There was a haunting sadness in Amelia's eyes, a vulnerability that resonated with Elena, forging an unspoken connection between the cleaning lady and the millionaire's daughter. Elena's days were filled with the repetitive rhythm of domestic chores, dusting priceless antiques, vacuuming endless carpets, and polishing gleaming surfaces. Yet, as she moved through the silent rooms, a sense of unease settled upon her. The Sinclair Mansion, for all its splendor, held an undercurrent of disquiet, a subtle tension that crackled beneath the surface of its polished perfection. It was a feeling that lingered in the shadows, a whisper of something amiss that Elena couldn't quite ignore. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the manicured lawns, Elena was finishing her work on the upper floor. The mansion was shrouded in an eerie silence, the staff having retreated for the night. As she passed by Amelia's room, a muffled sob pierced the stillness, a sound laden with despair and loneliness. Elena paused, her heart clenching with a mother's instinctive empathy. The sound drew her closer, an invisible force compelling her to investigate. Hesitantly, she approached the closed door, her hand hovering over the ornate handle. The sobs continued, punctuated by stifled gasps and whispered pleas. Elena's concern deepened, her intuition screaming that this was more than just teenage angst. This was a cry for help, a desperate plea for salvation. With a trembling hand, she gently knocked on the door, her voice a soft whisper in the hushed silence. "Amelia, is everything all right?" Silence met her inquiry, a heavy silence that amplified the muffled sobs emanating from within. Then, a choked gasp broke the stillness, followed by a desperate plea. "Go away! Please, just leave me alone." Elena's concern intensified. She couldn't ignore the raw pain in Amelia's voice, the desperation that clawed at her heart. She had to help, to offer comfort, to be a beacon of hope in the darkness that seemed to engulf the young girl. "Amelia," she persisted, her voice soft but firm. "It's just Elena, the cleaning lady. I'm here if you need to talk." The sobbing subsided, replaced by a hesitant silence, a fragile truce in the battle of emotions raging within the room. Then, with a slow, creaking groan, the door inched open, revealing Amelia's tear-stained face, framed by a cascade of auburn hair. Her eyes, red and swollen, were wide with a mixture of fear and desperation. like a trapped animal seeking escape from an unseen predator. Elena knelt before the girl, her gaze filled with compassion and understanding. "Amelia, what's wrong? You can tell me anything." Amelia hesitated, her gaze darting around nervously, as if searching for an escape route, a way to avoid the painful truth that threatened to spill from her lips. "It's my father," she finally whispered, her voice barely audible, a fragile thread of sound in the oppressive silence. He hurts me." Elena's heart plummeted, a leaden weight sinking in her chest. The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken horrors, painting a grim picture that shattered the illusion of perfection surrounding the Sinclair family. She gently took Amelia's hand, her touch offering silent reassurance, a lifeline in the storm of emotions that threatened to overwhelm the young girl. "Amelia, what do you mean he hurts you?" she asked, her voice soft but insistent, urging the girl to break the silence, to release the burden she had carried for far too long. Amelia's small frame shook with suppressed sobs, her body racked with the pain of her unspoken secret. He comes into my room at night," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper, each word a painful admission. He touches me. I try to tell him to stop, but he just gets angry." A wave of anger surged through Elena, a primal rage that threatened to consume her. This man, this pillar of society, this respected businessman, was violating his own daughter, his own flesh and blood. It was an unforgivable act, a betrayal of the most sacred trust, a violation of innocence that made her blood run cold. "Amelia," Elena said, her voice firm despite the turmoil within her, "I believe you, and I promise I won't let him hurt you anymore." Amelia looked up, her eyes filled with a flicker of hope, a fragile ember in the darkness that had enveloped her. "But what can we do?" she whispered, her voice laced with despair. "He's my father. No one will believe me." Elena knew she had to tread carefully. Thomas Sinclair was a powerful man, a man of influence and connections. Accusing him of such a heinous crime would have consequences, repercussions that could ripple through their lives like a destructive tidal wave. But she couldn't stand by and do nothing. She had to protect Amelia, even if it meant risking everything. "We'll figure this out together," Elena assured her, her voice filled with determination, a steely resolve that belied her fear. "But first, I need you to tell me everything. When did this start? How often does it happen?" Amelia, finding solace in Elena's unwavering support, began to pour out her heart, revealing the dark secret she had carried for far too long. She spoke of the nights filled with terror, the fear that gripped her as she heard her father's footsteps approaching her room, the shame and helplessness she felt as he violated her innocence. Elena listened, her heart aching for the young girl's pain, her resolve solidifying with each whispered word. She would bring this man to justice no matter the cost. As Amelia's story unfolded, Elena's mind raced, searching for a way to help, a way to expose the truth and protect the vulnerable girl who had entrusted her with her deepest secret. She knew she needed evidence, something concrete to support Amelia's claims, something that would convince the authorities to take action against a man of Sinclair's stature. But how could she obtain proof without arousing his suspicion, without putting Amelia in further danger? An idea began to form in her mind, a risky but potentially effective plan. She would plant a hidden camera in Amelia's room, capturing the abuse on video. It was a dangerous gamble, a move that could backfire with devastating consequences. But it was their best chance, their only hope of bringing Sinclair's crimes to light. The next day, Elena ventured into the bustling city center, her heart pounding with a mixture of anxiety and determination. She navigated the crowded streets, her senses overwhelmed by the cacophony of sounds and the kaleidoscope of sights. She entered a small electronics store, its shelves lined with gadgets and devices that seemed alien to her world. With a trembling hand, she selected a small, discreet camera, carefully concealing it within her cleaning supplies. That evening, as she cleaned Amelia's room, her movements deliberate and cautious, she found an opportune moment to plant the device. She secured it in an inconspicuous location, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and hope. She prayed that it would capture the evidence they needed, that it would be the key to unlocking Amelia's freedom. Days turned into weeks, each night filled with agonizing anticipation. Elena would arrive at the mansion each morning, her heart heavy with dread, wondering if the camera had captured anything, if their risky plan was bearing fruit. She would steal furtive glances at Amelia, searching for any sign of change, any indication that the abuse had continued or ceased. Amelia, meanwhile, seemed to find some comfort in confiding in Elena, her fear gradually replaced by a glimmer of hope, a fragile trust blossoming in the sterile environment of the mansion. One morning, as Elena approached the imposing gates of the Sinclair estate, she noticed an unusual commotion. Cars were parked haphazardly, their doors flung open, and voices, raised in agitation, echoed through the usually tranquil air. A sense of foreboding washed over her, a premonition that something was terribly wrong. As she entered the mansion, the atmosphere was thick with tension. The staff moved about with hushed whispers, their faces etched with worry and fear. Thomas Sinclair, usually a picture of controlled composure, was pacing the living room, his face contorted with rage, his voice a thunderous roar that reverberated through the house. Elena's heart sank. Had he discovered the camera? Had their plan been exposed? With trembling steps, she made her way to Amelia's room, her anxiety growing with each step. The door was ajar, a stark contrast to its usual pristine order. She cautiously peeked inside, her breath catching in her throat at the sight that greeted her. The room was in disarray, drawers overturned, belongings strewn across the floor, a scene of chaos that mirrored the turmoil within her own heart. And then she saw it. The camera, lying on the floor, its lens shattered, a silent witness to the violence that had transpired. Panic surged through Elena, a cold wave of fear washing over her. Sinclair had found it. He knew someone was onto him. She had failed Amelia. She had put her in even greater danger. Just then, Amelia emerged from the bathroom, her eyes wide with fear, her face pale and drawn. "Elena," she whispered, her voice trembling. "He knows. He found the camera." Elena felt a wave of nausea wash over her, the weight of her failure crushing her spirit. She had underestimated Thomas Sinclair's ruthlessness, his capacity for cruelty. She had walked into a lion's den, armed with nothing but good intentions, and now she was paying the price. He was furious. Amelia continued, her voice barely a whisper, each word a painful revelation. He threatened me. He said if I ever told anyone, he would." Her voice trailed off, unable to finish the sentence, the unspoken threat hanging heavy in the air. Elena pulled Amelia into a tight embrace, her heart aching for the girl's pain, her own fear momentarily forgotten in the face of Amelia's terror. She had failed to protect her, but she wouldn't abandon her. She would find a way, even if it meant facing the full force of Sinclair's wrath. Elena knew she had to act fast. Sinclair was a cornered animal, his rage unleashed, and Amelia was in grave danger. Going to the police seemed futile. They wouldn't believe her without evidence, and the shattered camera was a testament to the futility of that plan. She needed to find another way to expose Sinclair's crimes, a way to protect Amelia and bring him to justice. An idea sparked in her mind, a desperate and daring plan, born of desperation and fueled by a mother's protective instincts. She would confront Sinclair directly, record their conversation, and use his own words against him. It was a risky move, a gamble that could put her in even greater danger. But it was their only hope, their last chance to break free from the clutches of a predator. That evening, as the mansion settled into an uneasy quiet, the staff retreating to their quarters, leaving Elena alone with her fear and her resolve, she waited for her opportunity. Sinclair, his anger simmering beneath a veneer of forced calm, retreated to his study, a sanctuary of dark wood and leather, where he sought solace in solitude. Elena, her heart pounding in her chest, slipped into the room, her movements silent and swift. Sinclair looked up, his eyes narrowing as he saw her, a flicker of surprise quickly replaced by suspicion and anger.
"Elena?
What are you doing here?" he demanded, his voice laced with a thinly veiled threat. Elena took a deep breath, steeling herself for the confrontation, her fear momentarily eclipsed by her determination. "Mr. Sinclair," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "I know what you've been doing to Amelia." Sinclair's face contorted with rage, his eyes blazing with fury. "You know nothing," he snarled, his voice a venomous hiss. "Get out of my house before I call the police." Elena stood her ground, her gaze unwavering. "I have proof," she bluffed, hoping to catch him off guard, to elicit a confession that would seal his fate. "I know about the nights you sneak into her room. I know about the things you do to her." Sinclair's eyes widened in surprise, a flicker of fear momentarily betraying his carefully constructed facade. Then, his expression hardened, his anger returning with renewed force. "You're bluffing," he said, his voice strained, his composure slipping. "You have no proof." Elena reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. She had activated the voice recorder, her finger hovering over the stop button, ready to capture his every word. "I'm recording this conversation, Mr. Sinclair," she said, her voice unwavering, her resolve strengthened by the knowledge that she was fighting for Amelia's freedom. "And I'm not afraid to use it." Sinclair's face paled, the blood draining from his cheeks, leaving him ashen and vulnerable. He lunged for Elena, his hand reaching for her phone, desperation fueling his actions. But Elena was quicker. She dodged his grasp and backed away, her finger pressing the stop button, capturing his incriminating words. "I have you now, Mr. Sinclair," she said, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and triumph. "You're going to leave Amelia alone, or I'll expose you for the monster you are." Sinclair stared at her, his face a mask of fury, his eyes burning with hatred. He knew he had been defeated, his carefully constructed world crumbling around him. "You'll regret this," he hissed, his voice filled with venom, a promise of retribution hanging heavy in the air. "You'll regret this for the rest of your life." Elena didn't back down, her fear replaced by a newfound strength, a fierce determination to protect Amelia, no matter the cost. "I'm not afraid of you anymore," she said, her voice filled with defiance. "You can't hurt me or Amelia anymore." She turned and fled the study, her heart pounding in her chest, the recorded conversation a weapon in her arsenal, a shield against Sinclair's power. She had done it. She had confronted him, obtained the evidence she needed, defied his authority. But she knew this was just the beginning. Sinclair was a powerful man, a man with resources and influence, and he wouldn't go down without a fight. The next morning, Elena went to the police, her hands shaking as she handed over the recording, her voice trembling as she recounted the events of the past weeks. The officers listened intently, their faces hardening with disgust as they heard Sinclair's incriminating words, his threats, his admissions of guilt. They assured Elena they would take action, but warned her that the investigation might take time, that Sinclair's wealth and influence could complicate matters. Elena returned to the mansion, her mind a whirlwind of emotions. She had done what she could to protect Amelia, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she had unleashed a storm, that Sinclair's threats were not empty words, that retribution would come swiftly and mercilessly. As she entered the mansion, she was met by Mrs. Peterson, the housekeeper, her face etched with worry. "Elena," she said, her voice grave, "Mr. Sinclair wants to see you in his study." Elena's heart sank. She knew this couldn't be good. She had a choice to make, face Sinclair's wrath or run, but she had come too far to back down now. She squared her shoulders and headed towards the study, her resolve unwavering, her fear overshadowed by her determination to protect Amelia. As Elena walked towards the study, the mansion seemed to hold its breath, the air thick with anticipation. The staff moved about with hushed whispers, their faces etched with worry, their eyes filled with a mixture of fear and admiration for the cleaning lady who had dared to defy their powerful employer. Something was different, a shift in the power dynamics, a crack in the facade of Sinclair's authority. Entering the study, She found Sinclair seated behind his massive desk, his face an impassive mask, his usual arrogance replaced by a simmering rage that lurked beneath the surface. But there was a new presence in the room, a woman with sharp features and an air of authority, her presence adding another layer of tension to the already charged atmosphere. "Elena," Sinclair said, his voice devoid of its usual arrogance, replaced by a chilling calmness that sent shivers down her spine. "This is Ms. Davies, my attorney." Elena's heart sank. Sinclair was lawyering up. This was more serious than she had anticipated. She had expected anger, threats, perhaps even violence. But this calculated move, this display of legal power, was more intimidating than any outburst of rage. Ms. Davies fixed Elena with a steely gaze, her eyes sharp and assessing, taking in every detail of the cleaning lady who had dared to challenge her powerful client. "Mrs. Rodriguez," she began, her voice sharp and precise, each word carefully chosen. "My client informs me that you have made some rather serious accusations against him." Elena met her gaze, refusing to be intimidated, her fear momentarily forgotten in the face of this new challenge. "I've told the police the truth," she said, her voice firm, her resolve unwavering. "Your client has been abusing his daughter." Ms. Davies smiled thinly, a condescending gesture that made Elena's blood boil. "We have no record of any such report," she said, her voice laced with skepticism, a subtle challenge to Elena's credibility. "Perhaps you're mistaken, Mrs. Rodriguez." Elena felt a surge of panic. Had the police dismissed her claims? Had Sinclair used his influence to bury the investigation? Had she walked into a trap, her efforts to protect Amelia backfiring with devastating consequences? "I have proof," she insisted, her voice trembling slightly, betraying her fear. "I have a recording of him admitting to everything." Ms. Davies raised an eyebrow, her expression a mixture of amusement and disdain. "A recording?" she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "Without proper authentication and chain of custody, such evidence is inadmissible in court." Elena felt a wave of despair wash over her. She had walked into a trap. Sinclair and his attorney were playing a game of legal maneuvering and power plays, and she was losing. She had underestimated their ruthlessness, their willingness to use every tactic to protect their own interests. "Mrs. Rodriguez," Ms. Davies continued, her voice taking on a threatening tone, "making false accusations against a man of Mr. Sinclair's stature can have serious consequences. I strongly advise you to reconsider your actions." Elena knew she was in a dangerous position. Sinclair had the resources and the legal expertise to crush her, to bury her under a mountain of legal challenges and financial burdens. She had to tread carefully, or she risked losing everything, her job, her reputation, even her freedom. But she refused to be silenced. She had come too far to back down now. She had promised Amelia that she would protect her, and she wouldn't break that promise, no matter the cost. She would find a way to expose Sinclair's crimes, even if it meant facing the full force of his power and influence. In the days that followed, Elena found herself caught in a web of legal maneuvering and intimidation. Sinclair's attorney bombarded her with legal threats, letters filled with legalese and veiled threats, each one designed to intimidate and coerce her into retracting her statement. Elena, feeling isolated and vulnerable, sought help from the only person she could trust, Maria, her neighbor and closest friend. Maria, a fiery woman with a heart of gold and a fierce sense of justice, listened intently to Elena's story, her eyes blazing with anger, her voice filled with indignation. "That monster!" she exclaimed, her voice echoing Elena's own outrage. "We can't let him get away with this." Maria, a seasoned community organizer with a deep understanding of the legal system and a network of contacts, became Elena's lifeline. She helped Elena navigate the complex legal landscape, translating the legalese into plain language, explaining the intricacies of the legal process, and connecting her with a pro bono lawyer who specialized in cases of child abuse. With Maria's support, Elena felt a renewed sense of hope. She was no longer alone in this fight. Maria became her confidant, her advisor, her rock. They spent hours discussing the case, strategizing, sharing their fears and hopes, offering each other emotional support and encouragement. Their friendship deepened, forged in the crucible of adversity, a bond of sisterhood that transcended their differences in background and circumstance. Meanwhile, Elena's relationship with Amelia deepened as well. Despite the turmoil and uncertainty surrounding them, they found solace in each other's company. Elena would visit Amelia after school, bringing her small gifts, sharing stories of her own childhood, offering words of encouragement and support. Amelia, in turn, found comfort in Elena's presence, her fear and anxiety gradually easing as she shared her thoughts and feelings with the woman who had become her confidant and protector. One afternoon, as they sat in Amelia's room, sharing a cup of tea and a plate of cookies, Amelia turned to Elena, her eyes filled with gratitude and affection. "Elena," she said, her voice soft but filled with sincerity. "I don't know what I would have done without you." Elena smiled, her heart swelling with affection for the young girl who had become like a daughter to her. "You're a brave girl, Amelia," she said, her voice filled with admiration. "You're the one who had the courage to speak out." Amelia shook her head, her humility shining through. "I was so scared," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly, the memory of her fear still fresh in her mind. "But you believed me. You gave me the strength to fight." Elena took Amelia's hand, her touch offering silent reassurance, a promise of continued support and protection. "We'll get through this together," she promised, her voice filled with conviction. "I won't let anything happen to you." Their bond, forged in the crucible of adversity, became a source of strength for both of them. Elena, who had always felt like an outsider in the world of the wealthy, found a sense of belonging in her connection with Amelia, a sense of purpose in her fight to protect her. And Amelia, who had always felt isolated and alone, found a true friend and protector in Elena, a woman who saw her not as the millionaire's daughter, but as a vulnerable young girl in need of love and support. Weeks turned into months, and the legal battle raged on, a relentless tug-of-war between David and Goliath. Sinclair, using his wealth and influence, employed every tactic to discredit Elena and delay the proceedings. He hired a team of high-powered attorneys who filed motions, sought continuances, and raised objections, their every action designed to exhaust Elena's resources and break her spirit. But Elena, with Maria and her pro bono lawyer by her side, refused to be intimidated. She stood firm, her resolve strengthened by her growing bond with Amelia and her determination to protect her from further harm. The climax came during a tense courtroom hearing, the culmination of months of legal maneuvering and emotional turmoil. Sinclair, his face etched with arrogance, his demeanor radiating an air of entitlement, took the stand, denying all accusations and portraying Elena as a disgruntled employee seeking revenge, a woman motivated by greed and a desire to tarnish his reputation. Elena, watching from the gallery, felt a surge of anger, her hands clenching into fists, her nails digging into her palms. This man, this master manipulator, was twisting the truth, using his power and privilege to escape justice. But then, something unexpected happened. Amelia, who had been hesitant to testify, afraid of facing her father in court, afraid of reliving the trauma he had inflicted upon her, stood up, her small frame trembling but her voice clear and resolute. She had found her strength, her voice, her courage. She recounted the abuse in detail, her words echoing through the silent courtroom, painting a vivid picture of the horrors she had endured. The judge, the jury, and even Sinclair himself were captivated by her raw honesty and courage, her vulnerability and strength. Elena watched in awe as Amelia spoke, her heart swelling with pride, tears welling up in her eyes. This young girl, who had once been so timid and afraid, was now a beacon of strength and resilience, a voice for the voiceless. Her testimony was a powerful indictment of Sinclair's crimes, a testament to the enduring power of truth, a beacon of hope in the darkness. Sinclair's attorney, a seasoned legal expert, tried to discredit Amelia, to poke holes in her story, to paint her as an unreliable witness, a troubled teenager seeking attention. But Amelia's testimony was unwavering, her voice steady, her gaze unwavering. She had found her voice, and nothing could silence her now. The courtroom atmosphere shifted, the tide turning in their favor, the weight of her words tipping the scales of justice. The judge announced that a verdict would be reached the following day, leaving everyone suspended in a state of uncertainty. Elena and Amelia left the courtroom, their hands clasped tightly, a mixture of hope and anxiety swirling within them, the weight of the day's events heavy on their shoulders. That night, sleep eluded Elena. She tossed and turned, her mind replaying the events of the day, Amelia's courageous testimony echoing in her ears, Sinclair's defiant denials fueling her anxiety. She knew that the verdict could go either way. Sinclair was a powerful man, his influence reaching into the very fabric of the legal system, and justice was not always blind. The next morning, Elena and Amelia returned to the courtroom, their hearts pounding in their chests, their hands clasped tightly, seeking strength and comfort in their shared journey. The judge entered, his face solemn, his demeanor radiating the gravity of the moment. He read the verdict. Thomas Sinclair was found guilty of child abuse. A collective gasp filled the courtroom, a wave of relief washing over Elena and Amelia. Elena felt a surge of triumph, tears welling up in her eyes, blurring her vision. Amelia, beside her, let out a sob of joy, burying her face in Elena's shoulder, her body shaking with relief and gratitude. Justice had been served. Sinclair, his face pale and contorted with rage, his arrogance shattered, his power stripped away, was led away by the bailiffs, his reign of terror over. The courtroom erupted in a cacophony of sounds, whispers of relief and satisfaction mingling with the clatter of chairs and the shuffling of feet. Elena and Amelia stood amidst the chaos, their hands still clasped, their bonds strengthened by their shared victory. The guilty verdict was a victory, a testament to Elena's courage and Amelia's resilience, a triumph of truth over power. But it was also the beginning of a new chapter, a journey of healing and rebuilding, a path fraught with challenges and uncertainties. Amelia, now free from her abuser, began therapy to address the trauma she had endured, to mend the wounds that ran deep, to reclaim her life and her future. Elena, with Maria's unwavering support, continued to provide a safe and loving environment for Amelia, becoming a surrogate mother figure to the young girl, a source of comfort and strength. However, the conflict was far from over. Sinclair, despite his conviction, remained a formidable opponent, his wealth and influence casting a long shadow over their lives. He appealed the verdict, his legal team, a legion of highly skilled attorneys, launching a series of delaying tactics and legal maneuvers to overturn the conviction, to drag the process out, to exhaust Elena's resources and break her spirit. The legal battle dragged on, a relentless war of attrition, draining Elena's financial resources and emotional energy, testing her resolve and her faith in the justice system. Meanwhile, Sinclair, from his prison cell, continued to exert his influence, his tentacles reaching beyond the prison walls, his power still palpable. He used his remaining wealth to hire private investigators to dig up dirt on Elena, hoping to discredit her, to portray her as an unreliable witness, a woman with a shady past and questionable motives. Rumors began to circulate about Elena's past, whispers of financial difficulties, past relationships, and personal struggles, all amplified and distorted by Sinclair's malicious campaign. Elena felt her reputation being tarnished, her credibility undermined, her character assassinated. The stress of the ongoing legal battle and the smear campaign took its toll on Elena. She struggled to maintain her cleaning jobs, her clients wary of the negative publicity surrounding her, their whispers and sideways glances a constant reminder of the accusations against her. Her income dwindled, her savings depleted, and she found it increasingly difficult to provide for herself and Miguel, the weight of their financial burdens pressing down on her. One evening, as Elena sat at her kitchen table, poring over bills and legal documents, the numbers blurring before her tired eyes, Maria arrived, her face etched with concern, her eyes filled with empathy and understanding. "Elena," she said, her voice gentle, her touch reassuring, "I know things are tough, but you're not alone in this." Elena looked up, her eyes filled with exhaustion and despair, the weight of the world heavy on her shoulders. "I don't know how much longer I can keep this up, Maria," she confessed, her voice trembling, her spirit faltering. "Sinclair is relentless. He's trying to destroy me." Maria placed a comforting hand on Elena's shoulder, her presence a source of strength and support. "We won't let him win," she said, her voice firm, her resolve unwavering. "We'll fight him every step of the way." Maria, with her unwavering support and community connections, became Elena's lifeline, her anchor in the storm. She organized a fundraising campaign to help cover Elena's legal expenses, rallying the community to support the woman who had bravely stood up to a powerful abuser, the woman who had risked everything to protect a vulnerable child. She also connected Elena with a pro bono public relations specialist who helped counter the smear campaign, highlighting Elena's courage and integrity, presenting her story to the public, countering the lies and distortions with truth and compassion. With Maria's help, Elena began to regain her footing, her spirit lifted by the outpouring of support from the community. She found new cleaning clients who admired her resilience and supported her cause, their kindness and understanding a balm to her wounded spirit. The community rallied around her, offering words of encouragement, financial assistance, and a sense of belonging. Elena, feeling the love and support surrounding her, found renewed strength to continue the fight, to face the challenges ahead, to protect Amelia and herself from Sinclair's relentless attacks. The turning point came during a visit with Amelia. Elena, exhausted and discouraged by the relentless legal battles and the constant barrage of attacks on her character, confided in Amelia about the challenges she was facing, the toll it was taking on her, the fear that was creeping into her heart. Amelia, who had blossomed into a confident young woman, her spirit strengthened by therapy and the unwavering support of Elena and Maria, listened intently, her eyes filled with compassion and understanding. "Elena," she said, her voice firm, her gaze steady, "it's time for me to take a stand." Elena looked at her in surprise, her heart filled with a mixture of pride and concern. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice laced with apprehension. Amelia took a deep breath, her resolve evident in her eyes. "I'm going public with my story," she declared, her voice ringing with conviction. "I'm going to tell the world what my father did to me." Elena was hesitant, her protective instincts kicking in. "Amelia, are you sure?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. "It won't be easy. The media can be brutal, the public scrutiny intense. Are you prepared for that?" Amelia nodded, her eyes filled with determination, her voice unwavering. "I know it won't be easy," she said, her voice firm, her resolve unshakable. "But I can't let my father silence me anymore. I need to speak my truth, to share my story, to help others who may be going through the same thing." With the help of Elena and Maria, Amelia contacted a reputable journalist who specialized in investigative reporting, a woman known for her integrity and her commitment to uncovering the truth. She shared her story, providing details of the abuse, the fear, the shame, the long journey to healing, and the ongoing legal battle with her powerful father. The journalist, moved by Amelia's courage and the injustice she had endured, decided to publish her story, to give a voice to the voiceless, to expose the dark underbelly of wealth and privilege. The article, published in a major national newspaper, sent shockwaves through the community, its impact reverberating far beyond their small circle. Amelia's story captivated the public, generating a wave of sympathy and outrage, a groundswell of support for the brave young woman who had dared to speak truth to power. The media scrutiny intensified, focusing on Sinclair's crimes, the legal system's failure to protect Amelia, and the lengths to which he had gone to silence his victims and protect his reputation. The public pressure mounted, the tide finally turning against Sinclair, the walls closing in on him. His appeals were denied. His legal team began to crumble, their confidence shaken by the overwhelming public support for Amelia and Elena. Facing mounting legal fees, dwindling support, and the prospect of further public humiliation, Sinclair finally agreed to a plea deal, accepting a longer prison sentence in exchange for dropping the appeals and ceasing the harassment of Elena, a desperate attempt to salvage what remained of his reputation and his fortune. The resolution of the legal battle brought a sense of closure and relief, a lifting of the heavy burden that had weighed down Elena and Amelia for so long. Amelia, free from the shadow of her abuser, continued her healing journey, finding solace in therapy, in the support of Elena and Maria, and in the knowledge that she had made a difference, that her voice had been heard. She blossomed into a strong and independent young woman, her spirit unbroken, her determination unwavering, her future filled with promise. She became an advocate for other survivors of abuse, sharing her story, offering support and encouragement, inspiring others to find their voice and break the silence. Elena, reflecting on the tumultuous journey, the battles fought and won, the challenges overcome, realized how much she had grown, how the experience had transformed her. She had faced her fears, confronted a powerful abuser, and emerged stronger and more resilient, her spirit tempered by the fire of adversity. She had discovered a wellspring of inner strength she never knew she possessed, a courage that had surprised even herself. The experience had also deepened her empathy and compassion, her understanding of the human condition. She had witnessed firsthand the devastating impact of abuse, the insidious ways it erodes the spirit, the courage it takes to speak out, the long and arduous journey to healing. She vowed to continue advocating for victims of abuse, using her voice to raise awareness, to challenge the systems that perpetuate abuse, to support those in need, to offer a beacon of hope in the darkness. Elena's relationship with Miguel also evolved, their bond strengthened by the shared experience, the challenges they had faced together. She had always been a loving and devoted mother, but the experience had taught her the importance of open communication and trust, the power of vulnerability and honesty. She shared her story with Miguel, explaining the complexities of the situation, the moral dilemmas, the importance of standing up for what is right, even when it is difficult, even when it comes at a cost. Miguel, though young, understood the gravity of Elena's actions, the courage it had taken to confront a powerful man, the risks she had taken to protect Amelia. He was proud of his mother's courage, her unwavering commitment to justice, her compassion for others. Their bond strengthened, their relationship built on a foundation of mutual respect and understanding, their love deepened by the shared experience. Elena also realized the power of community, the strength that comes from collective action, the support that can be found in unexpected places. She had faced seemingly insurmountable challenges, but she had never been truly alone. Maria, her lawyer, the journalist, and the countless community members who had supported her, donated to her cause, and offered words of encouragement, had all played a crucial role in her victory. She learned that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope and support to be found, that community can be a source of strength and resilience, a beacon of light in the face of adversity. The story of Elena, Amelia, and Thomas Sinclair is a testament to the enduring power of courage, resilience, and the human spirit. Elena, a woman from humble beginnings, a cleaning lady navigating the world of the wealthy and powerful, found the strength to confront a powerful abuser, risking everything to protect a vulnerable child, a girl who had become like a daughter to her. Amelia, a victim of unspeakable abuse, silenced by fear and shame, found her voice and spoke her truth, inspiring others with her courage and resilience. Her story a beacon of hope for other survivors. Their journey highlights the importance of speaking out against injustice, even when it seems impossible, even when the odds are stacked against you. Elena's actions demonstrate that even ordinary individuals can make a difference in the fight against abuse, that courage and compassion can prevail over power and privilege. Her unwavering commitment to justice, despite the personal cost, the risks to her reputation and livelihood, serves as an inspiration to us all, a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference, to stand up for what is right, to protect the vulnerable. The story also underscores the power of community and the importance of supporting those who have been victimized. Elena's journey highlights the crucial role that friends, family, and community members can play in helping survivors of abuse heal and rebuild their lives. The strength that can be found in collective action, the power of empathy and compassion. Maria's unwavering support, the pro bono lawyer's dedication, the journalist's commitment to truth, and the community's outpouring of support all played a vital role in Elena and Amelia's victory, demonstrating the transformative power of collective action and the importance of standing together in the face of injustice. In the end, justice prevailed, but not without sacrifice and struggle. The journey was long and arduous, filled with challenges and setbacks, moments of despair and uncertainty. But through it all, Elena and Amelia never gave up, their spirits unbroken, their resolve strengthened by their shared struggle. They emerged from the ordeal stronger and more determined than ever, their bond unbreakable, their spirits transformed by the fire of adversity. Their story serves as a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, the human spirit can triumph, that courage and compassion can prevail, that justice, though sometimes elusive, is worth fighting for.